Do you find yourself not knowing when to apply fundamentals, especially when passage information must also be used? Here's a strategy to help choose more correct answers. I'll show you what I mean by use fundamentals to eliminate first, then use passage information on an actual MCAT question. This is a typically missed type of question, having answer choices with both passage information and fundamentals that are not mentioned in the passage. Pause the video and take a moment to preview the passage and answer the question on your own before I get into it. You can even click an answer in the interactive quiz. The question asks for an explanation that accounts for the difference in ATP levels between cell lines A and B following oligomycin treatment. And while the question, as well as answer choices, reference information you saw in the passage, some of the answer choices also have fundamentals, words and ideas that you know you have to know for MCAT. The big question is when to apply fundamentals. If you see fundamental words or ideas in the answer choices, especially if they're not mentioned in the passage, but whether or not they're mentioned in the passage, always try eliminate using fundamentals before using passage information. So before going to the passage, scan the answer choices for the easiest fundamentals for you to process, having in the back of your mind that there may be at least one that has a fundamentally false word or idea. For example, answer choice A says mitochondrial anaerobic respiration. While mitochondria are mentioned in the passage, anaerobic or aerobic was not. But it is important to know that mitochondria function in aerobic respiration, not anaerobic, so this can be eliminated regardless of what the rest of the answer choice says. Answer choice C says glycolysis in the mitochondria, which is fundamentally flat out false. Glycolysis does not occur in the mitochondria, rather outside the mitochondria in the cellular cytosol. So this can also be eliminated regardless of what the rest of the answer choice says. The remaining answer choices may also have fundamental words and ideas that you have to know for MCAT. However, if they're correctly stated or if they are in relation to non-fundamentals that you have to check in the passage, you'll have to use the passage. But before going to the passage, take a quick look at the remaining answer choices to use them to guide you on what to scan for and what to read in the passage. Recognize any similarities between the remaining answer choices, but realize it's the differences that will answer the question. They both say cell line B maintains ATP production, so you don't have to check that in the passage. And it helps to cut answers in pieces. For example, answer choice B continues on to say because HIF-1 alpha activation increases glycolytic enzyme expression. So scan for any information regarding HIF-1 alpha and glycolytic enzymes. There's a sentence in the first paragraph that regards maintaining ATP production and says HIF-1 alpha, which upregulates genes involved in glycolysis, which is saying the same thing as in answer choice B. That same sentence also says when oxygen availability decreases, cells increase glycolytic flux, which is on point with allowing glycolysis to compensate for inhibited oxidative phosphorylation in answer choice B. So this answer so far looks correct, but definitely check answer choice D, especially since it actually mentions oligomycin, which was mentioned in the question. But this answer says HIF-1 alpha activation prevents inhibition of electron transport chain by oligomycin. And even though oligomycin is brought up as it should be, remember from the sentence that helped process answer choice A, it explicitly said the functions of HIF-1 alpha, which upregulates genes involved in glucose transport and glycolysis. Nothing about preventing inhibition of electron transport chain by oligomycin, making this wrong according to the passage information and B, the correct answer. Plus, glycolysis in answer choice B is fundamentally on point with high lactate production for cell line B after treatment with oligomycin. Eliminating any fundamentally false answer choices with simple fundamentals before going to the passage will help reduce the amount of information you have to read and process in the passage, and make the passage information easier to match up with answer choice information, which will lead to more correct answers for you. Simple as that.